Alright, welcome to Just Magic the Gathering. I was looking to do some of my daily grind. I looked at building out a deck yesterday, or potentially spending some tokens, and I made out a new alchemy mobilize deck that I was tempted to give it a try. I can spend some tokens and strengthen the lands in it, and I was intending to do that here at some point. Black, blue, or lands? I'm not sure how well this deck is going to hold up. And I was actually wondering if I should do something more like my Seeker deck. As far as just knocking out my daily grind, I would actually like to move to maybe a faster deck. Let's just think about what my options here are. Because the weekly reset is going to happen today, so if I don't get my wins, I basically lose them. I'm not a huge fan. One card, I don't know. I need some mana, is basically what that comes down to. So the breeding pool can enter tapped. Sorry. Or I can pay 2 life to have it enter untapped here on round 2. Since I don't have pay 2 life. He's potentially looking at doing sneak. Glad to see he didn't do anything there. I'm probably going to just pay the 2 life and do the Prygon Predator. He is playing black, blue, and turtles. Hexproof, ninjutsu. That's interesting. If I do another Trigon Predator, because the strategic betrayal will only work for surveil 2 and draw a card. I don't actually recognize this Kyoto. As long as there are 1 or more loyalty counters on him, he's a 3/4 ninja creature and has hexproof. So let's see what he's up to. I just really need the 1 more land. I'm assuming if he attacks, I basically have to name a defender, otherwise he can do the sneak cost on something bigger that he has in his hand. I'm not sure at this point if he can still, like, up it or not. How did he get 2 stun counters out of that? So you can plus it up this time for the damage and guaranteed to get the attack through. At this point, I'm assuming he's going to return it so he can replay it with the full counters. Let's see what he does. Because I don't really have an option. Oh yeah, what do you know? Sneaking in a 7/5 Death Touch. And my route way more moose. ×2. So here I have the unfortunate option to do... Like, I can do the Route Way Moose. And then Fellas 1. It's really, I think, my best option here. That's a 5/6. Shredder. Super Shredder. So whenever another permanent leaves the battlefield, so whenever any of my stuff leaves the battlefield, this will get a +1/+1 counter. Here, I'm going to no block. I mean, it's going to leave me at 5 health, and he basically has this at this point. And he gets card draw out of it. I basically have to go with 2 replacements. Gives me a little bit of mana ramp. Just a second. Doom doom. Pretty sure he has the control to be able to basically just kill one of mine and make it through. One ninja can't be blocked. That's all there is to it. So, not necessarily a bad showing, but that is one of the first games I think I've seen where they've done the sneaker. Not the first time I've seen Super Shredder used, that's for sure. So, moving on. At this point, I would like to get the win, or a couple wins, in order to actually work my... I don't recognize that one. It's just plain green. It's a book. It's going land hunting. If you control 4 more lands, it comes in untapped. That's a mythic version. I'm pretty sure I've seen that. I'm gonna go blue-green, or black-green. If I don't, I mean, at this point I still have land. If I don't get a land next round, Waystone's Guidance. Scry 1. So I'm going to Seed Ship Impact that. And get a lander token out of the deal. I'll go for the lander token now. So it looks like he's probably just playing a mobilize deck. Here I can do something like the Strategic Betrayal and the Azure Scale for land. I do have enough control that I should be able to cover a fair amount. And that still leaves me 2 to do the control. Oh. I should have done my Lurker in the Deep. Because that would have actually gotten me 2 other cards. The Screaming Nemesis. I can no longer gain life. Whenever this creature is dealt damage. And I get another Azure Scale. I was probably quiet for part of that. Let's see how I did on my daily. Got my first win for the day. Definitely churning them. I do like my Seeker deck, and there's definitely some strengthening on the lands I can do for this one. One of the ones I was kind of looking at doing is like filling out some of my dual lands, or the verges I don't even have. And as opposed to going for my second or third on some of them, go for my first on the set. I have to mulligan that. And that's really not any better. At least I can, with 1 mana, I can play most of my hand. And the Oasis is not a bad option, but once again, I need the different kinds of land for that. Spectacle of Destruction. Playing red and white. And running the turtle. You gain 1 life. He gets a +1/+1 counter. I'll go for the double card draw next round. I think is my better option. And it keeps the board state more controlled. But at 4 mana, and this allows others to come in with... I need some land. Thank you. So if I do the Air Temple and the Azure Scale, I can go for my land next round. And that actually fills out my set to be able to do the Oasis. You can't counter it. At this point, I think I will just do my temple. The Savannah Lions, and he wanted to make sure he had enough to equip it. He gets a treasure token whenever it deals combat damage to a player. And treasure tokens are mana ramp. Boom, boom. The heirloom will get me my fish, which I don't have enough to play. Yeah, add 1 mana of any color. So if I do the Watery Grave, it can enter tapped. I'm going to do my fish with Impending. That still leaves me enough to do the Siege Ship. That's convenient. I have a face-down fish. I'm assuming he hasn't actually ran into a Seek deck before here. Let's see what he's going to do that's big. Nice. Oh, no blocks. So 2, 4, 6. This will be 7. I can turn this face up. Just questioning what the best option here is, because doing the robot for 4 here, and I should have actually done my second Impending first. But I'm thinking this is actually his game. Because he can hit me for 6, and if he gets it up even a +1/+1 counter, he can hit me for 8. I don't have a flyer to take care of it. Let's see what he has. Other angels get first strike, and she gets to double up on her turn, so 2 in a row. Just came out a little slower. I could have, even if I had played that in a different order, I couldn't have gotten a flyer up. That's actually what I was lacking, or control 4 flyers. Alright. All I'm down to is lands. And yeah, If I can get 4 more wins today, that would complete out my ring. I wouldn't mind at least 1 more. The deck I was looking at initially playing was my Mobilize. And probably should give it a quick introduction. Most of it is Mobilize. It is a little expensive, so I'm worried about getting mana strapped. But I have all my colors, basically. If you control a plains or a swamp. So that is only black. I need you to be white and probably red. White, black. So I'm going to go with the Zergo. It's going to make something in his hand cheap. And he's playing red. Nice. When this creature enters, all forest cards in your hand and library perpetually become 3/4 tree folk. That is probably going to be a little problematic for me. What is my option here for... Creature tokens permanently have Menace, Lifelink, and Haste. Menace. He's going land hunting. Tend the sprigs. I can duty beyond death it. That's more what I was expecting. Doesn't really matter which way I do the damage. I can still do the Voice of Victory. Another nursery sapling. All attack. Yeah. Because I get enough damage through to do it. I'm actually a little surprised on the pair up or the matching, because that was not really close to being in my favor. So I will give a quick introduction on the Mobilize deck I built out. I have pulled really, really heavily into Takir. I basically have 100% of the set, one of every card, and I have 4 of quite a few of them. So I'm not a huge fan of the Stadium hard headliner, but once again, if I go wide, I can do a lot of damage to a single target, and it mobilizes itself. So I've seen it used very effectively for additional board control, and especially if you compare it with things that bring it back out of the graveyard, it's cheap and it's nice. Duty Beyond Death, once again I've run this in my token deck. I can sacrifice any creature, and all my other creatures get indestructible intent until end of turn, and they get the +1/+1 permanent counter on them. The Voice of Victory does mobilize too, and opponents can't cast spells during your turn. So they can't do flashes and things that come as a surprise, which is pretty nice. And it has Menace 2 on its own. I did throw, as far as Nowhere Control, I threw in 3 Nowhere to Runs and 4 Strategic Betrayals. And that's basically the only control I have in the deck, outside of the Stadium Hardliner. I threw in 4 of the Delcoven Pack Beasts, which mobilize 3 and have Vigilance. And I did throw in the Hero's Downfall over my Fel, because I wanted to be able to control potentially Planeswalkers a little more easily. And then these are all come in like rare and mythic. I had 3 of the Thunderkite. I have actually been starting to pull into the Alchemy set to try and complete that. It's easier to complete the Alchemy set than the normal set by like 4-fold. Either way, the Delcoven Outrider. This is the guy that kind of made me rebuild my Mobilize deck. He can mobilize for 2 himself, and whenever you sacrifice a permanent, the topmost creature card in your library perpetually gets +1/+1. So normally all of my warrior tokens sacrifice. I did get the Zergo out that prevented them from dying, but once again, that still can proc with things like Duty Beyond Death, that he can mobilize and gets +1/+1 counters on the next creature I draw. The Thunderkite is when this creature enters, creatures you control perpetually gain your choice of Menace, Lifelink, and Haste. Or Haste, sorry. So you get to choose one. In my case, I went with Menace just so that he couldn't do the initial defense there and take it off the board. Because Lifelink is a good option. Or once again, you get to choose to what works best for the scenario you're looking at. And then Zergo allows it so that my tokens don't sacrifice like they normally would. And I threw in the Venerated Stormsinger. He only mobilizes once. So basically, all my cards mobilize. And normally when my warrior tokens self-sacrifice at the end of the round, each opponent loses 1 life and I gain 1 life. I did kind of ho-hum about taking Zergo out and putting in a different mobilize card, because there is the one about the Death Touch. Either way, that is the basic of it. I did just throw in the Pain Lands and Verges I did have in the colors. I did throw in 3 Nomad Outposts and 1 of the C Notes. So I'm glad it held up well on its first run, but with that, I'm going to call it and look forward to doing some Magic in the future.